Hello, everybody, and welcome back to week 2 of Overwatch Weekly. This past week, there was not a ton of stuff. I still managed to find 5 stories that I think are pretty good. I'm going to start off with the most obvious story, which is Pink Mercy. I made a video on this on Wednesday, but Pink Mercy was released on Tuesday. All proceeds go towards breast cancer research. It costs $15. Full details can be found either in the video, I talked about it a little bit more, and also in the description. I have a link to the blog post that was made. So you can find the video in the description or in the cards, and you can find the link to the blog post as well, which goes a little bit more in depth than what I did. I did kind of a surface level brush over it, but this is a more in-depth look and a more complete look into Pink Mercy and the details around it. But we're going to move on to the next story, which is something I mentioned last week, and then like a day later, like a day later, we got it. So that is the PTR patch. So a couple things changed. I'm not going to focus on everything. I'm just going to talk about the 2 hero changes. If you want to read the full patch notes, they're in the description down below. But the first one is Ana. Ana was mentioned to be getting changes. We just didn't know what changes they would be. So Ana is getting 2 changes to Biotic Rifle. One is that it no longer impacts allies with full health, and the ammo clip was increased from 10 to 14. So what the no longer impacts allies with full health means is if you're standing behind a Reinhardt with a shield, and you heal him up, and he gets to full health, and you try to shoot him again, it'll shoot through him. So if you are like me, where you're playing Ana, and I rarely play Ana because I'm not good with Ana, but I play sometimes, and you see an ally that needs healing, you go to shoot them, and then a Torbjorn or something with full health just walks in front of you and intercepts the shot. You just go, okay, thank you, Torbjorn, I didn't need that. That won't happen anymore. Some people have an issue with it, some people don't. It's a very 50-50 topic. But the ammo increase is great. It allows Ana to do more, because when you're in the heat of battle and you have to heal a lot, when you only have 10 ammo, it can be a little bit hard, because I believe every other healer is, I know every other healer is either AoE or not unlimited ammo, but Moira, she can heal with her spray, but it lasts a lot longer than you have your orb, and you can recharge your spray pretty quickly. But the other change is Brigitte, who had 2 changes. One is Rally, which the maximum armor per player reduced from 150 to 100. When she has her ultimate up, you no longer get 150 armor, you now get 100 armor. And Brigitte's Shield Bash had a cooldown increase from 5 seconds to 6 seconds. So I think that they're doing some stuff to make sure Brigitte is not as broken as she is currently. I don't think she's the most broken. I play her a lot, and I die a lot as her, so I'm not the best Brigitte player as her. Though I also do very well as Brigitte, but I do think she does need some of these changes. I rely on Shield Bash way too much, so I think having the cooldown increase is going to force Brigitte players to either keep their shield down or find other ways to do stuff. But I think the ultimate change is probably the best change, because there are times when I will go in there and I will not die because I'm getting so much healing, and it is a little bit broken at times. That is the PTR hero changes. Full details can be found in the description down below. We're going to move on to the next story, which is about the Overwatch anniversary event. Now, this is a weird story because we actually don't have an official confirmation of the anniversary event and when it'll happen, but we got a leak from the Brazilian Twitter account of a video. Now, the video is in Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese, and I have not found a great translation of it yet. But the video will have played on screen for at least a little bit of time. But there's some interesting stuff in here. So one thing is that there is a new Junkrat skin, which is a pirate Junkrat skin. And there is also a couple other interesting bits, one of which is that items and brawls, is what it says, to my knowledge, from past events will be returning. And in the video, you see this Pirate Junkrat skin, you see the Ice Fisher Roadhog, you see the Baiju Roadhog, you see a bunch of different Roadhog skins, you see a bunch of different Junkrat skins that are currently not available. And it says on May 22nd we'll be getting the event. So it's interesting. What are these brawls that they're talking about that we are potentially going to be getting, or probably going to be getting if this leak does come out to be true? I have not seen the original tweet from the Brazilian Twitter account because they've deleted it at this point. But it's an interesting thing. There's really not much else to go off of. There's a Reddit thread that I'll have linked in the description down below, where the video is uploaded if you want to watch the video again and try to dissect it yourself. But it's interesting. It's a very interesting event, and I think it's weird that that's what they're going to do, is they're going to have skins returning, which is cool. You know, it's the anniversary event. Let's have an event where we honor all these skins that we no longer can obtain. I don't know if it's going to be every single skin, if it's going to be some skins, if it's going to be, you know, skins from a certain period of time. I have no idea, but it's interesting to me, and I'm excited to see how this ends up. How this concludes will be an interesting thing to make note of. But I'm going to end that story there. Anything that you want to see, anything you want to read, in the description, I'll have that Reddit thread, as well as an article from .esports about the story in general, if you want to read a little bit more detail. Not too much more detail, but just a little bit more there. The next two and final two stories are both about the Overwatch League. The first one is that last week the Stage 3 playoffs took place and concluded. You had in the first two games in the semifinals, you had the Boston Uprising against the Los Angeles Gladiators and the New York Excelsior against the Los Angeles Valiant. And both the Boston Uprising and the New York Excelsior ended up winning their semifinals matches 3-0. It's a five-map series, and so the first team to win 3 wins the whole thing. And in the finals, the New York Excelsior topped the Boston Uprising 3-0 to 1, and took home their second straight stage playoff trophy and $100,000, while Boston Uprising walked away with $25,000. So New York is a dangerous team. They've made every single finals. They've walked away with $225,000. So that is a very, very, very interesting thing to watch. I'll have a link in the description to a Stage 3 finals and playoffs kind of like updated posts, where they just kept updating things and writing things about the post. And I'll also have a link to an article on the Overwatch League website titled Building an Empire, and it's an interesting read about the New York Excelsior and what they have done and how they have kind of gotten this far. And it's a good read if you want to know more about the team and kind of how they won. And one of the things that is very, very big about the New York Excelsior, and one of the reasons why they are doing so well at the moment, and I think it's a good read. Coming from someone who is an NYXL fan, obviously I find it interesting, but I do think it's interesting if you have any interest in the esport. If not, it's whatever, but I think it's interesting to read if you have some interest in the sport as a whole, because it is pretty entertaining. But the last story I want to talk about, also Overwatch League related, is that the Overwatch League Grand Finals will be in New York City. This to me is very interesting, because if you don't know, the Overwatch League at the moment, even though there are teams from New York and Boston, and obviously LA, San Francisco, Dallas, Philly, there's teams from all over. Every game takes place in the same place, and it is the Blizzard Arena in Burbank, California. But what we are now getting is that the grand finals will not be in Los Angeles, but they will be in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and they will be taking place on Friday and Saturday, July 27th through the 28th. So, the season playoffs as a whole begin Wednesday, July 11th, and it'll be between the 11th and the 21st. The 6 teams will obviously go through the playoffs, and there'll be 2 left, obviously, by the end. And then that next week, they will be at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So we are getting a bunch still in Burbank at the Blizzard Arena, but then we're getting the grand finals in New York City. And I wonder why they picked New York City. I think it's an interesting spot. I think one of the things that's good about New York is it's very central, which, you might say that's not very central at all. In a way it is, because you have a team in London. So if London were to make the finals, well, that's an easier jump to make than going all the way to LA. The other thing is, though, you have Seoul and you have Shanghai, which are not that close to New York, and it would take a lot longer for them to get there. I wonder if they're pretty confident that New York Excelsior will make the finals, and that's why they're hosting it in New York, because if they're hosting it in New York and the New York Excelsior make the finals, well, then a bunch of fans are going to be happy and they're going to want to show up. It's interesting. It's. I didn't expect this. I expected it to be in LA. I didn't think they would try to rent out or not try to. I didn't think they'd get an area as big as the Barclays Center. That's huge. Barclays Center is massive. It's where the New York Nets and or Brooklyn Nets and the New York Islanders play for basketball and hockey. So it's interesting. For full details, if you want to know the way it works in terms of the matches, the grand finals is going to be the best of 3 5-map games. So on July 27th, there will be 1 best of 5 map set. So normal stage playoff type game, normal even weekly game, you just play 1 best of 5 game, but there's 3 of them. So you do it 3 times or 2 times. You have to win it twice, which is hard. That seems like hard to me. So that is that's an interesting thing to see, and I didn't expect this at all. So if you are in the New York area and you want to see the grand finals of the Overwatch League, your chance to do that is going to be in July. So I'm kind of interested in going. I don't think I will. If I can manage to go, I definitely will. But I don't think I'll have the time nor the money. I'm sorry for bumping the mic. I don't think I'll have the time or the money to go, but I would like to go, especially if New York Excelsior makes it. So we will see what happens. But I think it's cool that they're doing stuff on the other side of the country and not just centralizing. I don't even know if that's a word. Focusing everything in LA. I'm glad that they're branching out, and I'm hoping this means, because I mentioned it in my last Overwatch League video, I'm hoping what this means is that we start to see more stuff in different parts of the country, and I'm hoping that eventually we'll have Atlantic Conference matches in the East Coast and Pacific Conference matches on the West Coast, and then we'll start to see some crossover. I don't know if we'll see that. I think it would be cool if we did, and I hope that we start to see stuff like that, but at the moment, I'm just going to accept what we have. But if you want to read every story that I talked about in full detail, link is in the description to everything that I mentioned. I do really think it's important for you guys to be able to read what I'm talking about, because if I'm just the one that, if I'm just reading it to you, you're not going to see it. And you may not pick up on some things that you find interesting. So they're in the description. If you have any suggestions on how to improve it, for example, if you want me to talk more about bug fixes and changes to custom games when I'm talking about patch notes, I'm down to do that if that's what people want. But for now, I am going to end off this video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, please comment, please subscribe. I'm going to have a question for this video, which is, how do you think the Brigitte nerfs will affect the current meta? Do you think it will significantly change Brigitte, or do you think it'll change a couple things? But overall, she's still going to be a dominant force in the current meta. I'm interested in seeing what you have to say. But I'm going to sign off. So until next time, enjoy yourselves and stay out of trouble. Alright, see you later.